Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today? Relaxing as per usual, a late night episode. We had a D&D session today. I'm trying to, what would I say about a D&D session? I think it was like a pretty reasonable one. I don't think it was like an absolute smash hit or anything. I don't think it was meant to be. It's more, if anything, it's info gathering, but it's a deceptively difficult one, I would say, as a DM, from my perspective. Because it's getting to the point where obviously this second act is kind of like a big mystery, if anything. And well, I shall get onto that in a second, but good evening everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 11:13 PM on Monday, March 31st, 2025. Yeah, it's essentially a big mystery what is going on, but there's a lot of unanswered questions. Like basically Act 2 kind of opened up with like a, hey, wait a minute, this is strange, what's going on? And now it's been like months and months in the making, where, you know, they're slowly getting more and more information and seeing how lots of different things are sort of starting to come together, to piece together. And it's very difficult, I think, from a DM perspective, because this is like the do or die time, where it's like your story needs to be like bulletproof. Well, maybe not bulletproof, obviously my players will have leeway, but it's like it needs to be very, very, you know, tight. Because if there's anything which is like a glaring plot hole or something which doesn't make sense, it can make the entire, you know, months of mystery which has been building up be completely unraveled. Because there will be nothing more unsatisfying by them getting to the end. Unsatisfying thing, minor unsatisfying thing, I think, would be them getting to the end and them not actually working out the mystery before it happens. Because ideally they would work it out in the end. That's the goal, is that they work it out, you know, literal moments before the consequences of it happening are, or consequences of what would make the best story. So I would see it as a bit of a failure if they cannot figure out how everything ties together. Again, I think they actually might, at this point, this session might have been the first session where it's like I think it's actually guessable almost the entire story. I think they certainly would have to make some leaps or some really, really crazy like connections to understand, but I think this session marks the first session where it's like, yeah, they could work it out. They technically have all the pieces now. I think there's technically one thing which they don't have, but I also don't think that they couldn't work it out even without that information. Maybe. And obviously my players do have a lot of theories and like ideas, but, you know, having theories and ideas is different to having a whole cohesive piece which comes together. But that's why I say it's such a difficult time for the DM, because, you know, mysteries kind of rely on the fact that the clues work together. And obviously, you know, I didn't plan every single session in this like multi-month mystery that's been going on. I've only had like this overarching plot, and then like some bits had to be improvised, some bits had to be planned out beforehand, to be able to weave it together into this tapestry or a completed picture in the end. So that's why I say it's quite a do or die, not do or die time, but it's very much high stakes situation as a DM, because if it turns out that I made a mistake at some point and I had an oversight, or if I got a detail or something I told them or like misled them in a way, then it's like, oh no, that unravels anything. That, you know, maybe they actually did think of what the actual full picture was, but then discounted it because of something that they saw, something which they were like, oh, this contradicts it. That would be number one worst feeling, I think, as a DM. I don't think I've done it yet, or if I have done it yet, which is contradictory, my players did not pick up on it, and I did not pick up on it. I will say that my players, they have a pretty good amount of information I think they've got correct, or I suspect they believe and is correct. Some of it is wrong as well, but, you know, that's fair as well. That's I'm going to keep it ambiguous which parts, of course, are correct and which parts aren't correct, because the joy and discovery is finding out which parts are. But they are getting close enough or right enough where I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they have a decent idea of what's going to happen, and then with some future sessions where I have like more things being uncovered, everything will basically be sort of supplementary to be like, hey, this is giving you more information or a different way to look at it or a different possibility. Yeah, and it's exciting, but also I'm not sure if it's stressful per se, because at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's not going to be catastrophic if it doesn't pan out exactly the way I wanted. But it's exciting in the sense that it's like, oh yeah, it's all coming together. In that Kronk meme sort of thing. So yeah, obviously, I can't really talk big spoilers at the moment. But there's your 5 minutes of D&D talk. But what am I going to talk about today? You know what I did want to talk about? Actually, this is a great segue into it, I think. But there is a YouTube channel I watch called Daryl Talks Games. You know, and unsurprisingly, I like watching sort of like video essays about games. Daryl Talks Games I always found quite interesting because he's quite like a background in psychology, as I understand it. So there's a way to sort of interweave the psychology of sort of games. Sorry, I'm like trying to readjust my sitting posture into sort of game design and how it sort of plays off of each other for better or for worse. He doesn't do that for literally every single video he does, but for quite a few of them, they do sort of weave together that way. Yeah, but the one that he's done most recently, which I actually found like very fascinating, I didn't like initially click on it because I was like, I'm not sure how interesting that exact thing would be, but then I saw it again pop up and I was like, okay, you know, I'll give it a shot this time. I want something to watch. And the thing is basically about sort of fictional love. How should I put it? Fictional relationships, kind of. I can't remember the exact term, but basically the concept of like falling in love with a character or something fictional and the consequences. Talks about artificial romance and what it does to people. And because I initially read it and be like, okay, this is going to be something, you know, breaking down how artificial romances causes like some crazy like codependency and attachment to reality or something along those lines. And to a certain extent it does. He very much acknowledges that, but it's not like all sunshines and roses. But he brings up some very interesting points and topics about how it ends up sometimes having, you know, some sort of beneficial effects in a way. Now again, I don't know quite to the extent of that, and I don't want to misrepresent the situation as if he's saying like, yes, fall in love with fictional characters, but it's like, it's more like it can grant a sense of relief, equating to, you know, actual true life love in a way, or an escape or something like that. It's like a very fair sort of measured take on it, and analysis. And I was like, you know what, that's very interesting. And it delves into also some interesting things as well, which is like stuff which I very rarely see brought up, but like what's it called, like reality shifting, not a physical thing which people can literally do, but a thing which people sort of buy into, which I always understood it as like a sort of form of like self-hypnosis essentially, or like a maladaptive daydreaming situation. And it probably kind of is, but like that, and like tulpas as well, which is essentially like a really, really realistic imaginary friend is probably how I describe it. And I was like, that's not something I've actually seen like addressed in a video essay before, because I find the concept of those things very fascinating. It's, yeah, I don't know how to say it, except for it's like super, super fascinating how it even comes to be, how it's possible, I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was a really interesting video. Definitely go give it a watch if you like, or if you don't like, then I suppose you don't need to. No one's going to force you. But this brought me in to the fact that I was going to talk about it like whenever it came out or whatever, but then I forgot about it. But the thing that I did think about, that made me think about it recently, is obviously tomorrow's April Fool's Day. But because of time zone differences, obviously some places already have April Fool's Day, namely Japan. So it means that a lot of the games I play might already have done like April Fool's things or was doing April Fool things. I know Project Sakai, they always do like people sing different songs. Essentially they cover different songs and like form temporary different groups, and it's all very silly. I'm not sure what other things are going on. Starlight Stage often does something, but I'm not sure what they're doing at the moment. All 190 idols are replaced by Suisse. Okay. Was this a Reddit one? I don't know. No, they're just redoing the previous ones. Oh right, I see. Okay, that game is just reusing a previous April Fool's thing. But Project Sakai is doing something. But the one which kind of got me, like for a split second, got me one because I saw it on Daryl Talks Games, and also because they posted it super early. Like it technically wasn't even April Fool's Day yet in Japan, but it's Power World's one. Because I mean, like I scrolled down, like this is an Daryl Talks Games thing. It was 9 hours ago. And it was Power World, more than just POW's second trailer, Power World Pocket Pair. I read that and I went, what? No way, but is POW doing like, what is this, like a dating simulator? I opened it up and then I was like, this looks familiar. And I thought about it and I was like, oh yeah, they did this dating simulator April Fool's last year as well. And by the way, it's almost like amusing how well they sort of encapsulate these very typical anime tropes, which I guess maybe isn't surprising. Is Pocket Pair a Japanese company? It might be. But I certainly is a bit odd with you, I guess, romancing with powers in that sense. Or maybe it's not, I don't know. But part of me is also surprised because apparently, I watched the trailer and I was like, that's a pretty well-made trailer, and they lent into a yandere trope again. Apparently they actually have a POW, which literally is just a yandere. Like, it's called like Yandereimon or something in Japanese, and I was like, okay, that's like fair enough, Power World. I kind of respect them for hard committing to things like that in a way. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say about it. Oh yeah, the thing I was going to say was like, it turns out the actual April Fools, or the surprise, is they're actually making the game like properly. If you haven't seen the trailers, you can go like watch them up. They're like a couple minutes long or something. And they basically just got like very anime sort of style art of a Power World, like critters, but then you're like in a high school and it's like, oh, you date them, they all fall into like sort of tropes here and there, and it's all very amusing. And honestly, the trailers are very like well made in that sense. But the fact that they're actually making a game about it, like literally they're actually making a game now, has got me interested in the sense where, am I going to play it? I don't think so, except for maybe curiosity or anything. But I really, really hope they go the full way and they absolutely hard commit to making it legitimately a really great game with like fantastic writing in or something, because I would just adore that. Because I mean, Power World's very much hard committed to their sort of aesthetic of Pokemon or guns or mature rated Pokemon. Maybe mature rated is not the right word, but like I sort of throw caution to the wind, certainly in some respect. And I think them just super hard committing to a dating simulator and properly doing the whole shebang for it and give it like amazingly good writing would just be a cherry on top. But if it ends up having absolutely phenomenal writing or something, or like surprisingly good writing, maybe I would play it. I mean, I played with KFC April Fool's Dating Simulator. Was it good? It was funny. I would hesitate to say like, oh yeah, it had fantastically great writing or anything like that. But it's happened before. Like the Sega did like a Sonic the Hedgehog detective one or something, which I didn't actually play, but I heard it was actually quite amusingly good somehow. So this my hope to you, Pocket Pet, is that you've hard committed to this Power World Dating Simulator done, and you've given it like just absolute fire writing, because I would absolutely adore and completely respect that commitment. But anyway, what seeing that trailer made me think about that Daryl Makes Games video that he did, and like how he speaks about it. It's very interesting. I can't say that I've ever felt infatuated enough with like a fictional character to say that I would like love them. But I mean, it's happened, like, it's a rather common enough thing, which I fully believe that people do. Even more so than just like stanning a character or like whatever. I mean nowadays I think people say they're killing a character, but that kind of, I guess that doesn't necessarily mean a romantic love. That sort of, if anything, means that they, like, on a personal level connect to that character, as in they feel like they are that character in a way, or like have a lot of overlap in that sense. But yeah, not to say that I don't like love in fictional stories or whatever. I think it's an absolutely fantastic thing. But I've not really, I don't know. I don't think I've fallen in love with a character before. Because I'm not sure if I self-insert myself particularly often into things. I feel like the closest thing I do is I wonder. There's a really random thing. It's more like a writing exercise in my book, where I'm just like, okay, imagine that I created a story. I need to add in another character to this to help round it up, to help flesh it out, to fill in some sort of gap. What would this character look like? How would they get incorporated, and what would they bring to the table, essentially? Because I found out like a very sort of fun challenge. I guess it's kind of like an in-between creating your own OC or self-insert and just creating theories, I suppose, about a media property. And it sort of like merges it and marries it in a way which I like to do. Because self-inserting, I guess, doesn't appeal to me, but creating a character to help cohesively fit the thing, it's both like very achievement-oriented, but being like, look how well I can write something. It never gets verified if it's right or not, so I guess I'm always right. And it's also expressing a creative outlet as well, or being able to engage with that world. But yeah, it's such a fascinating thing, this, artificial romance and love and how it affects people. Because I think it's like, in some ways, it's quite a nice thing to be able to, sort of fall in love with a fictional character, in the sense that, does that fictional character help you to grow, or help you see the best parts of yourself, or help you in some way or another? I don't see how that could be a bad thing until it starts, I suppose, having negative consequences, where it makes you, obsessed, it makes you focus, it makes you reject the reality you live in. That's probably when it starts getting dangerous. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Power World Pocket Pair's game, More Than Powers or whatever. I don't think it should necessarily happen, but it did get me thinking, because I think it's a really interesting topic, which I think it's very easy to be just immediately dismissive of, in a way which undermines the point of a discussion of, like, is it a good idea to fall in love with a fictional character? Because I think it's very easy to just be like, no, what? But I also think that that's doing it a bit of a disservice if you don't at least take the time to sort of reason it out, Why would it be a bad idea? And then, I suppose more importantly, empirically, what's the evidence for it or against? I suppose it's not really for me to say either way, but it is certainly fascinating, isn't it? Well, I think it's fascinating. Shiny Colours apparently has an April Fool's at the moment. I don't really know what's going on with it. It looks like it also is a dating simulator. Or something. I'm ranking up my friendship level with one of the characters by just clicking the first option over and over and over again. I don't know how long this is. Oh, I think it's a choose your own adventure. I think the numbers I'm choosing are basically like flipping to different pages in the book where stuff happens. Maybe? Ending. Okay. I don't know what just happened. Well, I guess I'll go check out the Discord afterwards and see what people are saying about it. But there you go. It's interesting. Artificial romance. Isn't it a fascinating thing to think about, to talk about, to wonder about? And yeah, Powwow dating sim. Apparently it's real. Crazy, huh? They also have 2 yandere characters, so I'm not sure how that would work out. But anyway, I'm going to round this episode up here, so if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewells. Until next time, bye-bye for now.